Well, we're here to talk about Shadowrun, so it wouldn't be Shadowrun discussion if we didn't have some sort of technical glitch.
I mean, I do
So,
have gremlins. It is, in fact, true. So, well, RJ, it's good to see you again. We've had you on here before. For those just joining us,
mhm.
RJ is the line developer for Shadowrun. We've got some news and releases to share with you this week to talk about, and then we'll get into some Q&A. But first, the news. All right, so tomorrow, today's January 21st. So tomorrow we have the street dates for a bunch of fun. So it is officially, I'm going to just open the actual release schedule because um, things have changed so many times. So all of my like special places that I usually read from have been updated, but maybe not recently enough. All right, so we've got tomorrow is the Mercenaries box set, standard edition, Clan Direct Firestar Force Pack, Battlefield Support Rifle and Command Lances Force Pack, Second Star League Assault Lance Force Pack uh, goes to retail. The drop ships, we dropped the drop ships in December for the holidays, but those go to retail. Um, Salvage Box Battlefield Support and Salvage Box Mercenaries all will officially street date for the US and Canada tomorrow. Europe and Australia will hold off on Battletech releases for anything that is Mercenaries specific until their regions have fulfilled and done the 30-day exclusivity. Um, so a lot of stuff happening for tomorrow, which is exciting. Shadowrun, we have 3 releases tomorrow. RJ, can you explain what those are?
Well, I'll start with the one that's I'm most excited about, and I literally just got this in the mail about half an hour ago, so I'm really happy it made it. But we have releasing tomorrow, Lethal Harvest.
Ooh, pull it, put
It's
it a little more center where your face is. Yeah. Oh, neat. I haven't seen the cover yet, so awesome. So what's Lethal Harvest about?
So, Lethal Harvest is the stunning and thrilling conclusion to the Dissian Shadow War. It has been an ongoing metaplot arc which started all the way back in 2019, where the first hints of it started in Cutting Black. And since then, it has been sort of weaved into various products since, but it's gotten the major updates. And Scotophobia was kind of the midpoint, and now we have the conclusion in Lethal Harvest. So it is basically a plot source book which gives everybody, all Shadowrun players, an opportunity to get involved in this plot line at all levels. Everything from the lowliest street ganger, scum, Shadowrunner, all the way up to the highest level prime operators. There is a spot for you in this book, and you can contribute as much or as you want, or you can just say, nope, not for me. I'm noping out of this. I'm just going to hide. Call me if the world doesn't end, kind of
That's
thing. So,
it's fun because whenever I sit down at a table like at a con or something and play Shadowrun and we're talking to Mr. Johnson and we hear Bug Spirit, I just go like because I want everyone that's a new player to be as afraid as they should be of bug spirits. So I just go, nope, whatever you're paying, it isn't enough. Nope, nope, nope. Like
yep,
awesome, cool. Um, so Lethal Harvest we'll go into more detail about. But
yep.
tell us about the next releases too.
So, back in August of 2024, way back it seems, um, every year at Gen Con, we do the Legends of Shadowrun mission game. And this year we had 2 of them. The first one is called White Takes Red. Second one is called Captured Pawn, Fractured Bonds. Now, what's so special about those and why we're releasing them at the same time as Lethal Harvest is because, minor spoiler alert, Ares macro technology has kind of been persona non grata
What?
during this whole plot line. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, wait a minute. These 2 missions will kind of explain some of the things that Ares has been up to. And at Gen Con, we gave players a chance to be directly involved in the meta plot for the first time. So
Awesome.
that was actually something pretty cool. So I consider these two missions kind of a companion to Lethal Harvest because they're meant to kind of fill in the gap and sort of finish the story a little bit, to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain of what was really going on. So
Awesome.
I'm very, very happy about that. And it was a game I actually played and died in. So, but then again, I had a feeling there was a target on my head, but that's okay.
I,
The
I
players had fun. That was the most important thing.
I'm excited to talk more about missions in general with you and the legendary missions too, because oof, oof, yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we'll
Yeah,
talk. We'll talk.
walk.
Uh,
We'll walk, and I got coffee, so it's all good.
all right. So for board game division, Runefire, I've been talking about for a little while. I'm pretty excited. So this is going to be coming to Kickstarter. This is the Crossfire / Dragonfire. This is the Paizo Pathfinder skin with some upgrades to it, and it will be coming to Kickstarter this year. But I'm pretty excited. It's supposed to be ready to send to the printers by March or April this year. Randall's super excited, and he's actually going to be starting writing some blogs about the development. He did this back when Dragonfire was a thing, and it was really well received, and he had a big kick out of doing it. So if you want a glimpse into game development behind the scenes, he's going to be writing these blogs, and we'll be starting to post every so often leading up to the Kickstarter. We want him to get ahead a little bit so that if life happens and he can't write for a week or two, we still have enough to go.
And it's not like Randall. I mean, he's just so unbusy anyway. I mean, he's got plenty of time.
Right?
So
Yeah, totally. But in the meantime, you can follow the Runefire Kickstarter. I did the smart thing, and I have a chat with moderators, and I copied all of the Kickstarter links there so that every week I could just pull them quickly for you guys. So, copying
he's
and
just smart.
pasting. There we go. So that one is Runefire. I'll do a little arrow for that. Whee! Runefire. All right. Uh, Also in board game division, the first shipment is on about now of Flippin' Ninja, which is our next board game being released. I have not gotten to play the game yet. My first time will be at Gamma, which is the retailer show at the end of February. So in about a month, I get to play it. The box is
Okay.
about like that big. The artwork is super cute, and this is from the same designer from Parachute Panda, which sold out in its first 6 months run. Parachute Panda is also being reprinted right now. Um, so it's pretty exciting. And yeah, you guys should check it out, and we'll be having some marketing drop for it through our socials, so you can learn more about it. We're actually also going to start doing like some tabletop simulator stuff so that we can kind of demo the game and show you guys how it works, and be able to show you clips of the game and stuff. So that's Flippin' Ninja, and that'll be available in March or April, depending on when the boats get in and stuff like that. So Leviathans. So a lot of you got super excited because we started posting. We got some unboxing videos from eStar, which is our manufacturer for Levs. So we're gonna start posting some of those weekly. So stay tuned. Oop, I just dropped my pen. That's so sad. Come back, pen. So we're gonna be dropping those weekly, and we'll be putting them on socials and stuff like that. The backer updates, we'll be posting them too. And we are still waiting. The goal is to ship all of Leviathans before Chinese New Year. So it is supposed to ship by and I'm not exactly sure how the manufacturing stuff works, but the boat is supposed to leave on 1/31, so in 10 days. So I know that eStar's coming right up to the wire on whether or not they're going to be able to hit that deadline to get it on that boat. But we are watching it and pressuring every single day to try to get that out so that we can start fulfilling as soon as possible for Levs. So moving forward, the Lock I've been talking about for a couple weeks now. The Lock is coming to Kickstarter as well. This is a miniatures game, fantasy sci-fi, created by Tommy Rice, who's former NFL player. He's an actor. He's got a couple of Netflix and Amazon shows coming. This is the Lock. And I'm also going to not only drop that link, but I'm going to ask... RJ, have you heard anything about the Lock yet?
Fortunately, I have not. I've been kind of busy, delving deep into the shadows, almost immersion, if you will.
Fair, fair. So I'm gonna go pull the stream link from PAX. We were there on Saturday. We went live with this. Live from PAX. There's too many live from PAX streams. My husband's here with food. Hi, husband. Hi. So let's see here.
You always know it's true love when they will bring you McDonald's.
You know, it is true love. All right, so we did a talk on Saturday. So, and it was like the first one that we did for the day. So I'm just checking that this is the right one. Yep, this is it. So this is with Tommy and Ken Levin. And you guys can check out the first hour of this stream is all about the Lock if you want to learn more. We're anticipating this is going to be pretty big. We're going to be playing some of it at Adepticon. So we're pretty excited. All right. What else? We did the Lock. RPG Division. Frostpunk is coming. We are getting ready to announce the date for the Frostpunk Kickstarter. And that should be, I think, actually this week that we'll be announcing. So far, we've just said March. That is still the case. So you guys should follow the project. We'll be getting more and more released as we get stuff approved to say by our partners at 11-bit. But we are super excited to get the Frostpunk RPG out there using our new dice core system. Frostpunk. So you guys should follow that project. If you haven't seen, we've got some actual plays that we've done through Gen Con TV, through here on the Catalyst YouTube channel. We're going to be dropping some clips on social media so you can check it out, and releasing more and more information about the dice core system. All right. And then Voltron. Voltron, we funded back in December, and we are building out the Pledge Manager now. So there should be time that we will have the pre-order link live. So if you missed the Kickstarter, you can still get in on all the Voltron-y goodness and join your fellow paladins in saving the universe. So please go check out the Voltron Kickstarter. And wait for that little green button to pop up saying that you can pre-order. And finally, fiction. Now, I've been giving you guys a couple of updates the past couple of weeks on the Trial by Birthright and Base Crackers and Voidbreaker coming up and stuff like that. But I wanted to touch on audio a little bit. So earlier this month, we released Hour of the Wolf. So that is now available on Audible. I'm pretty excited for the Shadowrun one. So this has been supposed to have been released. That was a sentence. Over the past 3 months, but it's been held up. You have to submit to get it on Audible to Amazon, and then they do all these reviews. They'll kick it back if anything's wrong. And we've submitted it twice now where it just has sat there for 3 weeks and we haven't gotten anything on it. So we're ready for it to publish, and any day now it will. But Nothing Personal by Olivier Gagnon is the Shadowrun audiobook coming. Have you read that one, RJ?
I have not yet. I've seen some of it. I've seen like little bits here and there, but I haven't had a chance to do a read through just yet. So I'm kind of excited for this too.
Um,
So I am waiting just like everybody else. You
so
know, I don't, I,
I I love hate this book. It's a novella. So it's about
okay.
2.5 hours runtime, I think, I want to say. Um, and it's from the it's like point of view of the Mr. Johnson.
Hmm.
And forgive my French, he is a son of a bitch. So like you really hate
Aren't
him.
all Johnsons? Aren't
Oh
all
my
Mr. Johnsons?
gosh.
Aren't
Like
they supposed to be? I
the narrator,
think that's a prerequisite.
yeah, the narrator is Ryan. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on Ryan's last name. But he does such a good job at narrating Mr. Johnson that like I had to like remind myself that he was playing a character when I talked to him because I was like, I don't like you. He's so good at it.
And
Um,
that tells you if they're doing a good job or not. If you see a villain and you absolutely hate them, then you know the actor or performer nailed it.
yes, he did a wonderful job. Super excited to work with him again. And you might recognize the female voice in there.
Mai Tai?
It
Oh,
me. There's
is
only a
it
couple lines.
hey, you know what? You can say it's like, yep, yep, that's me, that's me. Uh-huh.
It's I'm pretty excited for what's gonna come from Nothing Personal. We also, if you cannot wait, the last audiobook for Shadowrun that was released was Another Rainy Night. And that's narrated by Jason Charles Miller, who is an actual rock star, like has a band and travels around the world and does rock shows. He's a voice actor, and he is the performer of the Final Fantasy 14. Like the song that's in there, he's the voice of it and stuff. So he's been brought out to like Tokyo to like sing with the like national orchestra and stuff like that. Like he's a cool being. He'll sometimes do shows at um GaryCon and stuff like that. And I remember like I was in the bar area where he was playing, and I recognized the song, but I couldn't place it. It was a ballad version of the Pokemon theme song, and it was wonderful. So like we're all like slow singing the Pokemon theme song in the bar. It was great. Uh,
Oh, you said ballad. I'm immediately thinking like 80s power ballad. I'm thinking, yeah, that that would be great.
it was awesome. So we've got some good audio stuff coming your way. You don't have to wait. You can go listen to some of this right now. Um, and I think that's all of our news. Hi, RJ.
Good news.
Let's talk more about some Lethal Harvest here.
Okay.
So, can you walk us through like what the process is for developing a full Shadowrun book? Like how is this
Okay.
managed?
How is this managed? A lot like herding cats, to be perfectly honest. No, it's there is a bit of a process. So step one is specs. So I usually come up with some crazy crackpot idea that I think I might be able to get away with, and then I write them up and I go to and I send them to Jason. I'm like, hey, Jason, you think this is a crazy enough idea? Do you think, or do I need to make it crazier? And he's usually like amp up the crazy. I'm like, all right. So, but from Jason, he looks it over, gives me some feedback. And then we usually kick it upstairs, usually Randall, Warren, and then we get the thumbs up or thumbs down. You know, once we get the thumbs up, then I send it out to our freelancer pool, who basically from there, based on the specs, will give me pitches. Say for example, they really like one particular chapter, and that's all they want to write about. It says, hey, if I were to write for this chapter, this is what I would put in there. And I'm like, and I will either give them I will either give them the thumbs up, thumbs down, or sometimes I'll say, hey, I like your idea, but what if? Because sometimes the pitches generate other ideas, which lead to even cooler stuff. So I try to work it out with them so that we can get the best possible content for the book. And from there, once the pitches are made, I usually give assignments, and then it becomes the writing portion. And after the writing is done, it goes to editing, it goes to layout, and then which is a process I won't bore people with because I don't want people. You don't need to know the pain. You really don't. No, but we've got some really good people on layout and proofing. So, but once the proofing is done, it's sent to print. Print gets shipped. Goes to the store or wherever, and then it ends up in our hands. So yeah.
So I
So
know
that's the process in a nutshell.
I know that um a lot of our writers, our freelancers, have come from like being a demo agent and then writing for Shadowrun Missions, and then like if you're doing good there, then oh, you're one of them.
I'm one of them.
Then
I literally came from the trenches.
awesome. So like if there's that kind of pathway in, which I can kind of, I guess, understand in that like you have to kind of know what a little bit of what
Yes.
the lines are that you have to be in order to pitch and do this stuff. But have you ever gotten like really off the wall pitches where you're like, yeah,
Oh,
no, we're not doing that?
constantly. I try to remind myself there are no bad pitches. There are just interesting ideas. No, nine times out of 10, the pitches I get are usually really, really good, but sometimes it gets very, very difficult to decide which one to go with. But I have gotten some really off the wall ones, and the pitches that tend to be quote off the wall, it's not that they're bad ideas. It's just that sometimes they don't necessarily fit within the framework and the rule set, because that's something we have to keep in mind whenever we're writing something, even if we're writing plot or fiction, is we have to keep it consistent with the universe.
Mm.
So we can't write something in, say, like a short story or even a novel that would contradict current Shadowrun or past lore, or could lead to a problem down the road. It's the constant balance we have to set so that we don't make something that's so overpowering that would, okay, well, why would I need a runner anymore if we could just crank out, say, like a bunch of cyber zombies, or if player characters have all this cyberware in them, and come up with something really neat that bypass that, by all intents and purposes, would bypass the rules. So that's something we got to watch out for.
Okay.
Now, I do get writers quite frequently who are new to Shadowrun, and the biggest thing is they're willing to learn.
Mm.
So I love that. And it's Shadowrun is one of those great games where you've got so much lore that you could draw from, and the research is half the fun, in my opinion.
Neat.
So reading up on Shadowrun lore and learning the universe, that's how I came to fall in love with it myself. And the door is open for anybody who wants to write for Shadowrun. All you have to do is get in contact with me and say, hey, what do I got to do to write for Shadowrun?
Awesome.
Then we'll talk.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So Lethal Harvest specifically being like the wrap up of a plot line. I know you've done like some project leads on plot books before and stuff like that. So what's it like kind of seeing the end of a chapter, and how do you just, what's the next step for taking what's the next plot hook that you guys decide on, kind of thing? Like, how do you make those decisions? That was two questions in one.
It all depends. Oh, it's okay. I can answer all of it. So the next plot, what I tried to do is, and this is what I tried to do in both, starting with Cutting Black. A lot of the stuff that happened in Cutting Black kind of led into things which were eventually touched on in Scotophobia, which was something that I was project dev on. And then the stuff from Scotophobia literally went directly into Lethal Harvest. Best way to kind of see it is, if you take those books, it's almost like a it's 3-act plot. So, and that was by design. But also within those books, there are also a lot of plot hooks. Some of them are continuing plots from previous books. Some of them are setting up stuff for future books. So think of it like you would comic books, or something like, say, the Marvel MCU or the DC movie universe, where your one product should hopefully be setting up something else down the road. So that way we have continuous plots going. Some of these plots have more legs than others. Some of them conclude right away, and some of them just keep feeding on each other. The Dissian Shadow War was one of those that could have kept going for a long time. But one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, so that it didn't just keep on going forever and then maybe go in a direction which would have been counter and problematic to the line as a whole. So
Awesome. Awesome.
but
So Lethal Harvest coming to tomorrow. Um,
mm-hmm.
and then the two missions. Now you said that they're kind of linked because of some of the
Yes.
events that go on,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
that this was it one of these missions or both of these missions that were officially canonized?
They are both.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, now this isn't the first time that a mission has been canonized, right? Because I remember season 5 final countdown for
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, right?
Yep.
So what's the difference between the previous canonized and these?
So I think with the final countdown, much like a previous one we had another Gen Con before that, which dealt with something called Proposition 23, which made the Orc Underground an official district of Seattle. The idea was we were going to take uh, the results, kind of tally them up, and then kind of the one that won would be the one that kind of officially became canon. But it was also kind of left open enough to where there were other possibilities because, if I'm a game master at my table and I'm running that at my table and I'm like, you know what, I like this outcome a lot better than the official one, go for it.
Sure.
You know, but it's but the whole idea behind Lethal Harvest was, like I said before, it had a specific beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was baked into it. And there was a specific plot that it was decided that, hey, you know what, Ares is going to be doing this particular thing. We're just not going to know about what they're doing. So rather than just coming in at the back end and say, yeah, this is what Ares did, it was decided, hey, what if we gave players an opportunity to literally get in on the action and actually play through a major part of this plot? And thus, I spoke with Aaron Dykstra, who was our missions developer, and we came up with the idea for both of those. And then we selected some writers, and voila.
Cool. So
So,
so when we say for our audience that might not know, when we say Shadowrun Missions, this
mm-hmm.
is our usually it's
it's a,
six sessions of 6 or 7 into a mini season that gets played at every year at the cons, and every year is a different season, right?
something like that. Yes, there is some overlap. Basically, Shadowrun Missions is our living, ongoing campaign. Other companies have their own version of it, but this is Shadowruns. So basically, how it works is every mission can be played as either a one shot, or you can play other missions along with it to form campaigns. You know, you
Yeah.
can also break them up with your own stuff at your home table. But yes, but the great thing about missions is you could play one mission at one convention, play the next part of that mission at another convention, and then so on and so forth. And as you do that, you accumulate karma and your character progresses through this living campaign. So you could start off as a complete newbie at the beginning of one season and then almost end up a prime runner by the time it's all said and done, depending on how much karma you're able to accumulate. And as long as you keep track of what you've earned with our logs and stuff like that, then it's all legit. So,
I really
and that's
like
one of the great things about it.
Yeah, I really like that also when you sit at the table, you might have someone that's played one of the other missions in the
Mm-hmm.
set. And so if it's your first time, it's almost neat because they've met some of the NPCs, so they have those contacts
Yep,
and stuff, and by the end of the mission, you might have some of those contacts and
exactly.
stuff. So it kind of makes you want to collect them all. Um,
Yes,
and
and
know
that's
what else is going on behind the scenes.
exactly, and that's one of the great things about missions is it's very much like Shadowrun, because sometimes not every team is together all the time. Sometimes you're brought together for a specific mission, and once it's done, you scatter to the wind, only to come back and maybe have to work with one or two people later,
Mm,
or maybe you're working on the opposite. Maybe you're going against someone later. That's
yeah.
just biz, chummer.
Mm,
So, and missions is a great way to do that,
Awesome.
to get involved in it,
Cool.
and I love it.
So then, yeah, me. So first of all, me too, because this is how like I. It's funny that you came in, um,
Mhm.
to writing and then being the line developer from being a demo agent,
Mhm.
and like I got to play a home game with one of the writers, and then my next experience with Shadowrun was playing the missions at Origins or Gen Con, and I spent my entire weekend doing that, and I miss those days.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm kind of learning the same thing. I mean, I was always usually the forever GM anyway, but I was always able, especially at conventions, to jump in on a game every so often. And even when I was at the just a freelancer, I was still a part of the demo team and would occasionally pop in. I did a lot of first taste
Hmm.
because to me, the idea of getting people into the game who have never played it before, is that's one of the things I really really love about that job and now this job.
Yeah, yeah, getting people to fall in love with it. Um, so missions itself, we've talked about at the conventions. Now, these two missions that are being released
Mhm.
are legend. Are they legend missions or legendary missions? What are they called?
So the Legends of Shadowrun is kind of a unique event that we've started doing in the past few years, where they get people who are quote unquote legends in the world of Shadowrun. Like for example, you have Jason Hardy, um, who's the line developer for 14 years. He participated. I started participating when I was, a longtime freelancer and senior writer for Catalyst Game Labs. Yes, I could claim that title. And then we get other people, like in the past, we had Mike Mulville, Echo Chernick, people like that who have had a big impact on Shadowrun throughout the years. I think Tom Dowd has also been there too, just to name a few. And we've also had other longtime freelancers who have been involved. We had Scott Schletz. I know he's been involved. Another freelancer, Francis Jost, he's been involved. So it's just people who've had a long time history and love of the game. We try to get those people in so that the fans can actually play with them. Because, like you said, some people may not know as much about the game, but to have someone there to kind of, I don't want to say guide, but just sort of play along, and it can be really, really fun. And I've heard some stories about some of the things that happened at Echo's table. So,
Yeah,
I will neither confirm nor deny, but I've heard it can get kind of wild sometimes.
I had
So,
fun with it. I didn't get to do it this
yeah,
past year because it's
and
at the
you've done it a
same
couple
time.
times too, right?
Just one.
Just once?
I got
Okay.
to do this past year. I it's the same time as Masters and Minions for BattleTech. So I've got to share my children equally now. Like so it's last year it was BattleTech and the year before I got to do the Legends. So this coming year I should be able to do Legends again, which I'm very excited about. So but
If not, I'll get some people to come over and kidnap you and bring you over. We'll get somebody we'll figure out whatever hair color you have. We'll just put someone in a wig and say they're scratch out thing and put Rem Alternis and
good
see,
enough. Good
it's
enough.
it's a shadow run. So we'll get you there.
Yeah, it really is a lot of fun and to be able to play with the community and share, the love of Shadowrun and stuff like that
Yeah.
is a lot of fun. These two missions are from those games that were
Mhm.
played with the celeb guests kind of thing and then canonized
Exactly.
into the world. So really exciting stuff. It's a fun event if you ever get a chance to do it at Gen Con. It's only at Gen Con, right?
Yes.
So,
We haven't had any talks about that's more of a demo team
yeah.
decision. So I mean, if there's enough, you know, want or if people want to have that sort of event at say like Origins or some other conventions, I don't know, let us know and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So all three of those are going to be available on the Catalyst store starting tomorrow.
Yep.
And then anything else you want to say about them before we jump over to question and answer?
um just that the one that I am a major plot guy. I love story. It's what keeps me interested in any game universe. And I will say that the repercussions and after effects of Lethal Harvest are going to help shape the sixth world from here on out. So take
Cool.
that for what you will.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, RJ. We're gonna jump over to some Q&A, which is over here. Lorcan, first question for our guest. How has working on Shadowrun changed for you since becoming the line dev?
Wow. You had kind of mentioned earlier, kind of touched on a little bit about when I started off as just a project dev, I got a taste. I got like a sample of what it was like to actually do this for a living. Now I'm living it. And there was so much more going on behind the scenes that I had no clue. And even today, there are some days I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. But I will say this. This is probably the dream job I never knew I wanted.
Hmm.
You know, so I Shadowrun has always been my favorite. Well, yeah, I would say it's probably been my
It better
favorite game.
be.
Well, there's a couple that are close. I
Fired.
mean, every yeah, okay. Well, I'll see you guys later. It was nice. But no, Shadowrun has always been one of my favorite games for over 30 years now. You know, and I never thought that I would be the one who is in charge of it. And it's both thrilling and a little frightening at times, knowing that it all comes to you.
Well,
But I've learned to embrace that, and I love it.
have you really been initiated yet? Has anyone told you that you ruined Shadowrun yet?
Not yet, not yet. But I've only had a year and maybe 3 official books to come out, so we'll see how things come. But hey, I get it. I've already been called a lot of things, even when I was a writer. So I can only admit. So I'm so bracing for it. I'm waiting for it, but
It's a rite of passage, I think, in
it
Kalos.
is, it is, it is.
Oh, amazing. All right. Questions. Turbo Turtle, when will the rest of the Gen Con 2024 interviews go up? Um, they've been slower than I'd like. Unfortunately, with Mercenaries, we've had some side projects that have taken priority to get resolved. So I've been having our support person, CJ, likes to edit the videos, so he's been doing a lot of those. Um, but we do have. I'm trying to get him back to a weekly cadence, and we'll do more frequently if we need to get caught up or something like that. But if we can at least get a weekly cadence, we'll be in good shape. So more should be coming soon now that it's the new year, and hopefully, I was gonna say, hopefully as things wind down with Mercenaries, but I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm gonna knock on all of the wood right now within reach. This is the Murphy's Law Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For a BattleTech question, when the third Star League pack is coming, I've talked about it, but again, it gets moved all the time. So let's see. Third Star League is slated for, as of right now, June 15th. So that answers that one. Kalos, I hope I'm saying that right. Any update on reprinting, restocking for Hotspots Hinterlands? Still waiting on my physical copy. So, Hotspots Hinterlands sold out in days. We ordered just as many as we always do for our books, and it sold out in days. So we rushed reprinting and shipping. I'm not sure. Let me see if Talon's around, and I'll ping him real quick and see if he has a ETA. Any ETA for...
And while you're doing that, I will sip my coffee in an attempt to, entertain our viewers.
Yes, coffee sipping is the way to entertain.
I don't know. It just seemed like I just wanted to sip my coffee, to be honest with you.
Wargriz asks for Leviathans, what is the status of the Leviathan novel trilogy? I did ping John earlier in the conversation for that. He said book 1 is coming out later this year, but that's the only update he has. It looks like Talon might be idle, so I don't know that I'm going to get an answer to that right now. Kalos, any updates on the monthly audiobooks? Hey, I gave an update. There's a second one coming. We are trying for every other month to have a BattleTech. So that'll be 6 this year, and then 4 to 5 Shadowrun ones this year. So some things are being finalized for that to make sure, so I don't want to announce anything that then is wrong, but that's what we're trying to do. So any other questions? I'm gonna Jason Mallory. With Lethal Harvest now hitting the shelves, will there be a follow-up source book that details the fallout of the whole debacle, or is that included in this one?
So, yeah, yes, and yes. What I mean by that is there's not going to be one book that's going to be like that's going to be an epilogue to this. No, when I say that the repercussions are going to be felt, it's going to go out like ripples in the pond over multiple books. Okay, so every book that comes out, it's going to touch at least a little bit on some of the after effects because there are just so many in the sixth world. As a matter of fact, I can talk a little bit about this. The next book, I believe, coming out after this. Oh, by the way, do we want to can we do a little bit more, some more previews?
Oh, sure.
Sure. Okay.
What can you tell
So
me?
so we have another book that's going to be coming out very soon-ish. It's going to be down the road, which is called Deadly Arts,
Ooh,
which is the advanced combat book.
Ooh, lower it. I want to see that art. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Huh? So we've got this coming out. This talks a little bit about some of the effects on the street for the average fighter and how it changed, how the whole Disney and Shadow War kind of changed combat and how it was fought and some of the effects that those who fought it felt. Okay. And in going that one, I've got one more. We have a book that will deal with the corporate side of things. Sort of update. That is Margin Calls.
Ooh, look at you getting books ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the perks of the job. Of
Uh,
course, now that I have in my hands, I'm going to forget all about them. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't we release? Oh yeah, I just got them, not everyone else.
you
So
should send me or Mikkel a copy so that we can get them in the trade show kit.
I will do that. As a matter of fact, remind me, and I will get a hold of our lovely layout guy Matt, who was nice enough to send those to me, and we'll see what we can do.
Awesome.
Now people have another reason to go. But yeah, so to answer to go back to the question, yes, all the other books that are going to be coming out, at least for the next year or so, are going to be dealing with the fallout based upon the subject of the book. Like, how's this going to affect the magic community? How's this going to affect the shadows? How's this going to affect the corporate? Plus, we also have other books on the schedule, which will eventually update, a lot of some of these other plots that have been kind of simmering in the background that are now going to start coming to the forefront.
Cool.
But those are a couple years out. We've got a lot more
Awesome.
books to get through with a lot more really cool stuff.
Cool. Maurice Strong asks if I have a question about one of the upcoming conventions Catalyst will be attending. What's a good way to get in contact with folks at CGL? It depends on what your question is. If it's something demo team related, it would be demoteam@catalystgamelabs.com. Otherwise, without knowing what specifically the question is, I would say send it to store@catalystgamelabs.com and they can forward it to the right person, depending on your question. Night Moss, I see you that GameholeCon is expanding into a new building this year. I did get that message. We will be there. We are going to be in that same upstairs area. We will also have a booth in the hall, and our gaming area is going to be in that conference room right by the upstairs area. So we're going to cyberpunk it up and have lots of neon and fun place to play there.
I liked Gamehole Con. It was fun. That was my first one last year.
It's
It was great.
my favorite con. It's number one, and it's like it's hard. It was hard for a while. I was like, Origins is my favorite, and then I was like, Gary Con is my favorite, and now I'm like, oh, it's 100% Gamehole Con.
They're becoming like children. You all love them in their own way.
They're very different for sure, and I love different things about each one. But I hope to never miss Gamehole. What other questions do we have? Will the lock games at Adepticon be live streamed? Not all of them. Some of them are going to be demo games, but we will be live streaming at Adepticon again, and there will be lock on there. Scrolling. I thought I saw a question, a good question that I was gonna. It was a hardball question that I'm. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Ready, RJ?
Uh-oh. All right.
Are there any updates on the QC for some of the source books? Like I think the two things that we hear most about Shadowrun is that the rules are so crunchy, and I like this edition best. And number two is that there's been editing mistakes. Can you talk a little bit about the editing process and what that looks like?
Quality control. So yes, I'm I am trying to learn, still learning some of the ins and outs when it comes to proofing and everything. And the one thing I can tell you is when we get something, when I first get a draft for be it a chapter or just a couple thousand words, whatever, what I always do is I give it a first run myself. Okay. I check it for grammar, I check it for accuracy, make sure that it lines up with the lore, make sure someone's not taking it in a weird direction. And I will make proper corrections. If stat blocks don't look like they're right, I'll do my best to correct those. And once that's done, then it is sent to a professional proofreader who gives it their work over. And then usually Jason will also give it a look over too, because I think he still also misses Shadowrun in his own way. So, but I'm always glad to have his input. And then from there, once we've gone through it and done a couple run throughs in terms of proofing, then we usually sent to layout. And then from layout, we have what we call our volunteer proofreaders. And these are people who are nice enough to give us their time to check to make sure that one, we didn't miss anything on the first few passes. And then sometimes when things go to layout, and that's the wonders of working with technology, is that sometimes things go slightly off. Maybe a margin was slightly out of whack that you can't see until it goes to the layout process. Maybe a comma was doubled somewhere again and you couldn't see it until it's in this form. There's all sorts of little things that will pop up, and hopefully they're the ones who find it at the last second. Because when I was in high school and throughout college, I took a few writing classes and journalism classes as electives. And one of the things they always told you is get as many eyes on this as possible, because what the brain tends to do, especially if you're the writer, you will fill in blanks. Like if you forget a word, you know what you wanted to write. You might accidentally forget to write it, but you'll swear it's there. And then a couple days, weeks, or whatever down the road, you go back and you read it's like, oh, I forgot that. That's why we try to get as many eyes on this as possible. But even then, sometimes if it's something you've never written, people, sometimes things tend to squeak through. All I can say right now is quality control is at the forefront of my mind, and I have been extremely diligent. There were a couple books that I literally said, stop the presses. I found something. This needs to be fixed before it goes out. So, but it's a constant battle that all I can say is we will be doing our best. and hopefully I don't know if we'll ever get it perfect, but we're going to give it everything we've got.
Cool. I think it helps to see, get some context of what's going on behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's all the questions from chat that I see. So thank you so much for joining me, RJ. And thank you for keeping Shadowrun alive and well. We'll see those 3 releases drop tomorrow, which is super exciting. And yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, thank you guys
Always a
all.
pleasure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, it's always a pleasure to come and talk. I love it, and feel free to reach out to me. I poke my head in the Catalyst discords every so often just to chat it up with Shadowrun fans and Catalyst fans in general.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, RJ. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be here next week when I have here hold for thought. Who is our guest next week? It is oh god, where's my chat?
Oh,
I'm stalling. Tuesday Newsday. There it is. We are gonna have Brian Young for Voidbreaker on next
woo-hoo.
week. Awesome.
Yes.
So thank you guys. We'll see you next week.